Okay, what is up, everybody? Welcome to our live stream. We are going to be watching the Rib Mountain Village Board, and they're going to be deciding about the TIF district. So I believe we have noise this time. I'm not muted like I was in the last live stream, so that's always a good thing. And I don't know how this is going to work. I haven't watched one of their Zoom meetings. I think I can watch it right in the web app, so I don't think I have to have Zoom downloaded to watch it. Yeah, very interesting day today. So I've got the agenda pulled up, so we're gonna plug into that in a little bit. I just want to go live a little bit early to kind of get things started, and I want to talk about what we have going on here too. So let me before we do that, let me just make sure everything is working. I see it live. Good. So like I said, this is kind of a new thing. Yep, it's working, all going. Okay, just trying that out. I don't have anybody watching yet, so hopefully we get a few people watching. Usually I make a post, and I didn't make a post this time. But certainly people can watch on replay as well, so I'll be treating it as if people are here. So regardless of how many people are watching, we'll keep it going. But let's well, first off, I thought it'd be a good idea to, let's see, that share on him. So this is the story we wrote, and I kind of want to break this. I'm going to spend a few minutes breaking this down. I know the meeting's starting pretty soon. But basically there was a plan to start a new TIF district along Highway N, which, as you can see, it's kind of has some business, but it's a lot of residential, especially once you get past the Village Hall here, which is shown in the picture. And originally it was going to mean that a lot of people in that corridor would have had to hook up to village water and sewer, which is pretty expensive. I've heard upwards of 100,000 one resident was looking at, and that's not good. So in case you're wondering what this sign means, and I don't know, I didn't see necessarily that this was related to, but I assume it has something to do with the ski hill. Charles Skinner is the owner of the ski hill. That's been a contentious issue too. He's wanted to expand the ski hill, and people aren't super happy about that idea. So I think that's playing. You see some of the stuff playing into this here, but also I think people just don't want this built up. According to the plans that I saw, this corridor here would be on the left here on Double N would be like 75% retail. And I think a lot of people just weren't wild about that. As you can see, I was not the only reporter there. So, and I've heard a lot of stuff from people who, just aren't happy about TIF districts in general. In my opinion, and I will give my opinion on them or my analysis, my experience is that they've seemed to be a mixed bag. So obviously you need a tool to develop blighted areas. This doesn't look blighted to me, by the way. That's a key element, I think, but they're usually a tool to develop blighted areas that otherwise developers just wouldn't touch, and you give them some incentives to fix it. That can be environmental, that can be just neglect, a place where there's all kinds of beat up old buildings, dilapidated old buildings. No developer wants to go in there. So TIF does have its use. I remember I was sitting on a panel and I heard a question asked, yes or no, are you in favor of TIFs? And I thought if I was the candidate, I would have said, well, I refuse to answer that as a yes or no question because it's ridiculous. You do need to use these sometimes, but you should. The problem is when you have, just keeping an eye on the time here, and there's probably going to be a lot of boring stuff before the meeting starts, just so you know. So it might not be the most fascinating stream in the world, but while we're talking here, where was I? I kind of lost my train of thought there. The problem is if you overuse TIF, you're locking way too much value in the district, and you're not getting that tax increment. That increment is staying in the district. Peter Wonshank, the former editor of the Record Review in the Edgar Stratford, that kind of area, Athens, all that. He pointed out that the mall basically started and nearly ended its life in the district. So all that value, all that tax revenue, taxpayers in Wausau just never saw it. So they had to have an increased burden because of that. So TIF is, people kind of treat it like it's free money. A lot of times I've noticed politicians have that view, and it's not free money. There is a cost. Now you can decide, everything in life is trade-offs, and you can decide if that trade-off is okay or not. But it is a trade-off, and I get frustrated when people don't acknowledge that trade-off. So let's switch over. Let's hope this works. It doesn't look like the meeting has started yet, so I clicked the button, nothing happened. We've got a couple people on, so thanks for joining us. And Sam Cripps says, thank you as always for reporting on local issues. Hey, I appreciate that, Sam. Thanks for watching. Hope you got a chance to check out the story that ran this morning. It's in the Wausonian about, and I gotta admit, I was totally late to the party on this one. It feels like something is blowing up. I get kind of frustrated sometimes because I feel like I don't have time to dive into stuff enough because there's too much stuff that just keeps popping up. And then I have right now, and there's only a few of you on, so I'll give you a little insight. This is going to be my last year at City Pages, and I will be going full-time on the Wausonian early next year. So keep an eye out for that. Since there's only 2 of you, I can safely say I can tell you guys that, and you guys are the first to know. So congrats on that. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited about having more time to devote to actual journalism and not feeling like I'm doing a lot of stuff that's should be done by someone who's like an assistant or something. For example, I'm just going to check this link one more time. Nope, they didn't start the meeting. Yeah, I'm guessing they started right at 6, but we'll keep trying. I've been doing stuff for our winter book, going through guides, updating guides and things like that. It's really, really time consuming, and it's not really journalism, and it's stuff that should be done just by, not that I think that any work is above me, because I don't. Especially I've worked at small businesses often, so I know you just got to do whatever needs to get done. I get that. But City Pages is chronically understaffed. It's really frustrating, and yeah, this will be my last year there. I've got some sponsors lined up for December. Good, solid, long-term sponsors, including also a big shout out to Downtown Grocery, my current sponsors. I don't want to announce my new ones yet, but big shout out to Downtown Grocery. They're great people. They've been very supportive of the Wausonian. I think a lot of why they're advertising is they just want to support what I'm doing more so than getting a real ROI. But I think they are. I think they are getting their name out there in a publication that's pretty well liked in the area. And sorry, I'm keeping tabs on this. I'm trying to, well, maybe I'll just keep it open. So when it starts, I really hope this works. I'm kind of in trouble if it doesn't, because I assume I can join after 6 too. You guys have any questions about the story or about what's going on in RIB? I'll try my best to answer. I still feel like there's a lot I could have dived into deeper and tried to understand, but I'll keep going back to this. It's been a pretty interesting story. So my main source here was Cindy Hogan. She's kind of leading the charge on this effort. She found out I even had it in my story, the day it was going to be approved is the day she learned about it, and it really impacted her a lot. So she was able at least to avoid the really expensive hookups to sewer and water. And one of the criticisms I heard is that people felt like they didn't really push this out there enough, that people didn't really understand fully what was going on. Try again. Yeah, I have a feeling it's just going to be right at 6. I don't have the wrong date, do I? Nope, October 1st. That's today. We do have another 5 minutes before the meeting starts, and I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of public commentary, and it's going to be mostly, if not exclusively, opposed to the TIF. Shoot, I don't think I have Facebook loaded up on here, do I? I wanted to show you what an economist down in Stevens Point. Yeah, I'm not even logged in. Oh, wait, maybe I think I can actually get on here. Okay, they send a code to my number. Hold on. I'm not sure why that's not working. I really wanted to log on to our Facebook group so I could show you guys the message I got from this. Well, maybe I can read it to you. Hold on. That doesn't look like that wants to work. I can't, I won't be able to show it to you, but at least I can read it to you. Okay, this is from Jerome Segura III. He is an economist. He used to be kind of like the top economist guy in Stevens Point. Oops, I should probably make sure that's not operating yet. Yeah, he was like the top economist down there, and he's kind of doing like a mushroom farm now. It's kind of interesting. He said, "I'm invigorated to see the public pushing back." And yeah, I kind of mentioned that some of this. Well, I said one anecdote I didn't include in the story is that Cindy apparently spoke to one of the joint review board members about her concerns. And the member told her essentially to bring it up with the board, which is super odd because the board had already made the decision. So that was kind of a weird thing for a joint review board member to say. The one thing I'll say about joint review boards on here, and I see your comment, I'll get to it in a second. One thing about joint review boards is that I have never seen them reject a project for not passing the but-for clause. So the but-for clause is like, basically you can't approve a TIF project unless you can prove, unless there's, I shouldn't say prove because you can't really prove it, but unless you can demonstrate to some degree that the project wouldn't happen without this tax incentive financing. Well, how do you ever prove a negative? You can't, because it's always future based. So you can't actually prove that something won't have happened. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the biggest misnomers in TIF, in my opinion. There should be some more rigorous standards, in my opinion. Let's see. Sam says, it seems like the public is against the TIF overall. Yeah, almost overwhelmingly, it seems like people are against this. People are really upset about they're really upset about this project. But to be fair, I only went down to the protests. From what I've heard, you never really know, but I haven't heard anybody in favor of it. Jerome said, after I said what I said, which I told you guys, he said, "You are correct. This is difficult without the counterfactual. As you know, cities that use TIF grow slower than cities that do not. Supports the notion that projects in Wisconsin fail to satisfy the but-for clause." I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but Wisconsin statute is explicit in that the increment offset not only municipal outlay, but also the would-be development crowded out by the public sector. This is very challenging from a policy perspective. Yeah, for sure. And I'm still, now it's almost 6. So they must, usually you would think they would start it like a little early, but they must start right on the dot. I really like how Wausau just puts it on. I really like how Wausau just puts it on the YouTube. It's a lot easier for me. And you can always go back and rewind. Or what I like to do sometimes, I like to go to the meetings after a while after they started and then kind of back up. And then I can watch them in 1.5 speed. Okay, it is actually 6 now. It's interesting because it's saying, like, if you are the meeting host, sign in. Let me see what happens if I nope. I know I'm not showing you the actual screen that I'm doing, but I do have it open. So I'm just, like, kind of refreshing it every once in a while, like, reopening it. And I think there was a meeting beforehand, so it's entirely possible that that meeting went over. Let me see. Let's see if I can get into it. Oh, weird. That meeting says the same thing. So it's entirely possible. I'll give it a little while, but just give me a second here. There's a CAPTCHA. I don't even see a CAPTCHA. Oh, it might be. Hold on. All right, hold on. Oops, wrong one. Shoot. Hold on. So this is probably the most fascinating stream in the world, isn't it? Oop, here we go. Oh, is it going to make me download? Shit. Yeah, sorry. I guess I do have to download Zoom. I hate that. I just wish they did something where it's like you could just hold on. Just what I want is more stuff on my computer. Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. Well, I have that much space. I got like tons of space in this one. Yeah, plenty of storage. So I don't. Oh, here we go. I don't know why that took a while. It's working now. So being a little late, but we are in. Wait, did it crash? Is my stream still live? Am I even live? I guess so. Okay, here we are. Okay, we'll be on really shortly here. It keeps disappearing. I just want to hide my. Okay. Okay, it should be fine. I don't think it's making noise. Okay, now let me see if I can. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Nope.
All of the
Thanks.
trustees.
Okay, I was muted. Can you guys hear that?
Needed quite a bit of extra time to doing our being servants of the public in this situation. We have all learned pretty much all the details we need to learn about these things. And it is a financial tool, and you know, sometime in the future it gets presented again, then it's going to get presented with all the facts and a better understanding sooner on. And I think that will at least give the an opportunity up front to express concerns before and make it so we don't look like we're rushing anything through. So that's all I have to add right now.
All right, thank you. Trustee Conklin, do you have anything to say?
No, you guys covered it. For who was here in the last meeting, I spoke, just as Jerry and Corey did. Same, grew up here in the village. Been called politician, individual that doesn't care about the community. You guys really reconsider and think about that. For the ones that are here in every meeting,
Okay.
you guys know me, you know us. We are residents looking out.
You can hear the Rim Mountain audio then?
And I've said before, somebody can do better, wants to come in and put the time in, do it. That's the great thing about this process. And I'm glad how many new people I met by email. Most were very cordial. So, and I tried to respond back to everybody that at least let you know it was received. We hear you. Communication, Jerry hit it. I mean, there's a lot out there that could have been shared by both parties, and we missed it. The communication piece was a little missed. So never happen again. Thanks for coming. So,
All right, Trustee Schaefer.
Thank you, Al. One of the things that was concerning to me over this whole process, as the process went forward and I answered questions from certain people, I received and continue to receive questions and concerns from scared citizens.
Okay.
Regarding what Jerry went over, which are false facts regarding TIFs. No one would be forced to move. No one would be forced to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on into sewer and water, etc. But
I'm understanding they would have under the initial plan.
A couple older citizens of Rim Mountain were really scared. And I didn't want to put them through the process of approving a TIF and having that uncertainty. No matter what I said, they couldn't be convinced. And I'm unsure why all this false information is going around. But we can't move forward with all that false information going around. Rim Mountain has worked really hard to use TID to improve existing infrastructure as our town has grown. We still require developers to build new infrastructure. For example, the subdivision that's on the south side, that developer pays for all those roads, etc. But we did pay for some existing infrastructure, for example, the path in front of the school. We anticipate that if houses that were to go in on the north side in the lot next to the town hall, at some time in the future, paths would be needed. Internal roads would be paid by a developer, but what would we do with Double N and the lineup of Snowbird with the Snowbird across the street was another area of concern for us that would use existing infrastructure that we would hopefully use TID money to help solve some of the problems with existing infrastructure in the future. The village board has been very cautious about how to use the existing TID and is going to be very cautious on TID number 2. And it's unfortunate that false rumors were being passed and continue to be passed by unknown persons in the public. I did my best to quell those, but as I said, people are concerned and scared, and I don't want that in our country. So we need to start the process over in the future, take a look at that, and think as Corey mentioned, if we come back to this, we'll have a more robust, I think everyone mentioned, a more robust session and a more locked tip as to the actual, spell out what we're doing on Snowbird and et cetera. So those are all things I think we all want. We want improvements to our infrastructure. We want trails. We want to make sure that the roads are safe as new subdivisions go in. And that being said, I do appreciate the fact that the people I talked to were very earnest. Some people who reached out were not, they were disingenuous, and that's unfortunate because in the society that we're in right now, there's a lot of name calling going on, and I don't like that. And I don't think anyone likes that. We all need to have a rational debate over these things, and not use hyperbole, and not accuse people. And I do take personal offense at those type of accusations that's mentioned by Trustee Klein. That being said, I think we need to, as we regroup from this, as a village, we come up with a list of things, especially on the north side, that we'd like to see improved with infrastructure. And then that would be a good basis of ideas going forward if we were to do TID again, or TID whatever it is in the future. Because TIDs are not an evil thing. They're a tool to pay for, in our eyes, as a very conservative village board, to pay for infrastructure and not ever, and we've never done this, pay a developer to be there. We've not done that. I would never do that. I would vote against that every single time. So that being said, those are my comments, and I appreciate the people waiting.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Schaefer. And I will wrap it up by saying, personally, I heard you strong, and I heard you loud. I heard you through the statements and the testimony here 2 weeks ago. The emails you sent me, and they were all polite emails, thank you. And even personal face-to-face contacts were always, like I said, cordial. Stiff, but cordial. So I'd like to end with that and go over what the motion is again. The motion to deny action to create tax increment district number 2. Delay any action to create tax increment district number 2, and to remove the action item from the Rib Mountain Joint Review Board. I had a motion and I had a second. So I'll ask for the vote. All those trustees in favor? Aye. Opposed? I will tell you that it's unanimous. Thank you for showing up. And if you still want to speak, we can go through those speakers' requests. So that's what we'll do next. Go through the request to speak.
That's interesting.
Me, Mr. Chair, so it's understood that there is no TIF, TID anno period 2, and it is not being presented to the Joint Review Board. The Joint Review Board will continue to meet at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, tomorrow. And the sole agenda item will be a discussion on a review of Tax Increment District 1. There'll be no discussion, no action as it relates to any proposed Tax Increment District 2. In order for there to be a request for creation of a Tax Increment District 2, the village board would have to follow all of the statutory procedures that are required under law for public hearings, hearing before the police or for the plan commission, before any presentation.
Oh yeah, so it sounds like nothing is going to happen with this thing.
There is no action at this time directing village officials or staff to go about starting that process again. At this point in time, there is no further action being taken regarding tax increment district.
He really wants to be clear about that. Yeah, so it sounds like this thing, it's not going to go to the joint review board now. It's been successfully reconsidered.
For those of you who filled out requests to speak, Cindy Hogan is number one.
So Cindy was my main source, so I want to at least hear what she has to say. I wonder how many people will.
Name, address.
It'll probably just be thank yous now, I'd imagine.
Public comment opposing TIF. This board voted 3-2 to approve it. That was the spark that ignited the fire in the college. Samuel said it does not require a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen to set brush fires of freedom in the mind. Due to the approval vote, a massive effort was undertaken to right this wrong. Door-to-door petitioning, neighborhood meetings, raising awareness through Facebook groups, calls and emails to all board members, joint review board members, county supervisors, walk-up school district leaders, state senators, demonstrating, media sessions, and face-to-face conversations with government officials and staff, all in an effort for our voices to be heard. Please, next time you are confronted with an issue which impacts the community so greatly, and you want public feedback and involvement, just send me a notice in the mail. Better yet, call or knock on my door. That's free. In order to understand exactly what a TIF is, I've spent over 30 hours reading, researching, speaking to the experts at the state level. In my conversations with board members, it is clear to me that many of you don't fully understand the workings of a TIF. Neither do I. It is a complex issue.
Yeah, TIF really is really complex. It's very difficult. So I'm kind of surprised that she's still taking the tone that she is, considering they just basically did what the people protesting wanted. But I guess people still want to say their piece, so we'll listen for a little more. I don't know how much of this we're going to ultimately completely listen to.
I know a way. I have asked this question several times to different people, and I still don't have the answer. The residents of Vermont are very thrilled. There also seems to be some confusion about the joint review board and its role in this process. I will be making public comment at their meeting tomorrow, but today I want to remind all of you that the joint review board is not a rubber stamp on your decision. They actually have responsibilities as outlined in the state statute. And it is vitally important that we, the residents, and you as our representatives, are accountable to those statutes. One of the major concerns expressed at the September 17th meeting was lack of communication. Despite hundreds of emails, there has been very little response to me. I'm not asking for long advice. A simple note that you have received the message and are considering the content is all that it takes for us to feel heard. The most effective method for conflict resolution is conversation.
I will say one thing that I learned is even if you don't have like a very robust response that you can give, always give someone a response. Just easier. I'm not going to pretend like I'm perfect about that. That's for sure. But something I've been thinking about more lately. So anyway.
We can, but unfortunately, they are not at the top of our priority list. And so, resident concerns must be the top priority. All staff and such. The fact that they are not is the reason the residents had to take the actions that we did. There are many positive outcomes from the activities of the last 2 years. I met neighbors, I haven't met even though I've been here for 15 years. The community united around the cause, despite awareness regarding business of race, and hopefully, for someone, whether a Vermont resident, a resident of the immediate area, or even the county, who hears TIF, they will be more likely to get in. But perhaps the most important of all is that through this ordeal, we demonstrated that we the people do in fact hold power. And when we band together in a united front, we can make a difference. One additional comment I would like to make is that I'm very grateful to have been able to be charged. I would like to point out that the only reason I was able to devote the time and effort for this project is because I'm a stay-at-home mom. To conclude, I would like to thank board members for listening to us and ultimately making the right decision. I would especially like to thank Brad Conklin for calling me personally to discuss the issue. Corey Stillers for being willing to be educated on the issue, and Alan Opal for his courageous decision to bring the issue back for consideration. I appreciate the position you're in, Alan, and I understand how difficult it must be. Thank you for spending time talking with me on several occasions. Your decision today was the right choice. Many have asked if I will be running to take one of the 3 available boards in April. The answer is no. I would like to be a liaison between the board and the residents. And I would like to encourage the board to see this as an opportunity for greater transparency and a chance for you to finally have the community involvement that the state wants and needs. Coming to the table together to discuss issues that affect all of us will ensure that Ridgemont remains a place for family, nature, and sport. For those here who resonate and agree with my comments, please stand with me. All thank you.
Aaron Colden.
Damn. I don't think they have a mic up for the speakers, but they're mic'd. So if I turn it up to hear them, then they're super loud.
It does.
Yeah.
For anyone just joining me, they've actually rescinded the TIF district, so it's not in play. So they're just letting people speak now.
We don't argue about it. Liaison, a person who acts as a link to assist communication or cooperation between groups of people. Communication is not one-sided, it's not only about the negative. Compromise, an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concession. In other words, lower your expectations, crazy. When I was looking to move to Red Mountain, I was told there's 2 types of people. Those who live in Red Mountain and those who want to live in Red Mountain. There's no doubt that the people who live here are very passionate about Red Mountain. Joke. But to be a relevant, vibrant, thriving community, and to attract more residents and businesses in the future, Red Mountain must continue to develop. It's a simple fact. It must continue to grow, or the village is going to stagnate, deteriorate, fade away. Kids have been in Wisconsin for 50 years. They're nothing new, and most kids do not fail. There's a few snippets of information that you can all find on the internet.
Well, they don't fail, but the fact whether or not they have an actual positive effect is definitely in dispute and something the county has been looking at. Just want to point that out.
In ways that benefit the community. Tax incremental districts in Wisconsin have several positive effects, including economic development. This can help spur economic growth and job creation. Community renewal. This can help revitalize the community. Public improvements. I don't agree with this one, but that's why we're here. This can help fund public improvements like roads, water, and sewer. General city property taxpayers don't pay for the cost of kids. Only the developments within the kids self do. And the overwhelming majority of kids have sufficient increment paid off the project. This is older information from 2015.
Yeah, this is what we talked about at the beginning of the stream, where people think that there's no impact on the taxpayers. It's absolutely not true. When you set those districts, and I'm just saying this because I think the facts need to be out there. You can, like I said, they're trade-offs. Life is trade-off. Life is about trade-offs. Okay, so I'm not saying never use TIF. I'm saying be aware of like the actual trade-offs. The actual trade-offs is when you create a TIF district, all the tax revenue from all the growth in that district that goes to the district is not going to the taxpayers. So I think you have to use it really carefully. It drives me nuts when I hear that because it's just simply not true. And I care about the facts.
12 years. The Channel Village Board has put Red Mountain in a very good position over the years with outdoor activities and businesses that we all enjoy while keeping our tax academy. Red Mountain only has one TIF. This would be number 2. Clearly, the village has not taken advantage of its tax. Yet it's managed somehow to attract some great businesses here. The village of Red Mountain heard the residents loud and clear last month when the board voted to reduce the area covered by TIF numbers. That was acceptable to me. That was a problem. In general, I believe that the board has had the best interest of residents in mind. I also believe they will have a renewed focus on continuing our best interest in mind. In closing, I supported it. Supported it to begin. I supported it in this revised.
Could you state your address, please?
148, 325 St. Francis Way. Good question. Come on over.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that was not super interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, I thought it was interesting that they chose. This is one of the first times I've actually seen this where they actually act on the issue first and then take public comment. It kind of seems pointless at that point because you've already made the decision. I mean, I guess it makes sense to let people speak, but yeah, but by that point, it's not like you're going to convince anybody. And I think everyone probably heard from the people in the village anyway. So yeah, I like I said, TIF is, I'm not making any commentary on this TIF at all, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do have analysis on TIF in general. And it's like I said, life is about trade-offs. TIF has trade-offs, and the only thing I get frustrated on is when people pretend like they don't have trade-offs, because they do. They are trade-offs. You will put more pressure on the taxpayers because that's less tax revenue coming in. It's being locked into the district. So, and it gets worse every year. So in the first year, it's not that bad, because what happens is you take that district. I'm just going to finish by kind of explaining this. The way it works is you take all the properties within that district and you set the values that they're at. That's the baseline. And any value over that baseline, the tax revenue from that value goes to the district and not to like the tax levy. So that's not a big deal in year one, right? In year one, it's not that much different. But in 30 years, those properties could have doubled, maybe more. Heck, my house is worth like double what it was in 2016 when I bought it. That's wild. So imagine if I was in a tax district, and it started in 2016, my house would be like worth double, but they're getting half of that value. They're getting the tax revenue from only half of that value. The rest is going in the district, which is fine. Sometimes, like I said, you have to be able to work on these districts, and you have to make projects. Sometimes there's stuff that just isn't going to get done unless you do it, you form a TIF. But I think people just treat them too willy-nilly and pretend like they're free money. They're absolutely not free money. So, all right, well, that was the decision, much faster than I expected. Like I said, most of it was a little pontificating by the board, a decision, and then they were going to go to public comment. And thanks for everyone that tuned in. And if you're watching this on replay, sorry it wasn't the most. When you're doing live streams, it can be difficult. So it wasn't the most exciting stream, but we did get the decision. Rib Mountain has denied its TIF district, so there will be no TIF 2. It won't be going before the Joint Review Board tomorrow. I mean, it's on the agenda, so I guess they're probably just going to skip it or pull it. I believe the board would actually pull the agenda, but it is canceled. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that to some degree. I'm glad at least we could get the audio. I kind of wish it would just play in the browser. It would have been a lot easier because then I could share it. But all right, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the next live stream will be a little more exciting, and we'll see you later.